Hi, this is Tony DeMeo, and I'd like to introduce you to a new series that we have. It's our Triple Gun podcast series. And each podcast will talk about a different aspect of the triple gun offense. Each one will be different, and it's something you can listen to in your car, on a walk, or whatever, and maybe pick up one coaching point or two in the course of the podcast. Take a listen, and hope you enjoy it.
Tailback play. The wideouts are stalkers. I'm not going to waste time in going into that, but the tailback play is important. His aiming point is front side A-gap. And what he's going to do is take a little slide step, hitch step, whatever you want to call it. He's going to be back here. And what we want, our tailbacks had a tendency to do this, get a wide stance. And we didn't like that, but they could do it anyway, so it didn't matter. But when you're teaching it, you really want a tight stance so you can take that little slide step and go. Just that little hitch step and go. So what we want to do is aim for front side A-gap. We want to make it a downhill play. One of the things, how many of you guys have run the zone read? I like the zone read out of empty. I like the zone read as a complement to this. But the zone read is not a downhill play. Is that correct? You guys that run it? It's not a downhill play. This is a downhill play. I looked at when in '99 when I put this in, I talked to Kevin Wilson at the time, was at Northwestern, I believe. Rodriguez was at Clemson, and I just didn't like the idea that it wasn't a downhill play and that you couldn't run it all the time. Squeeze and scrape, which is a common option defense, always caused it a problem. The answer was always, well, we'll run this. Well, I don't want to run this. If this is going to be my main play, this is a downhill play where your tailback is going to drive for 5. Drive for 5. That's what we teach them. Drive for 5. You get 5 every time. We've never had a tailback running it since 1999 that ever averaged under 6 yards a carry. Drive for 5. And the big plays will happen. So he's going to aim for front side A-gap. If A-gap is closed, he slides and glides to the opening, to daylight. If you tell him to cut, he's going to run right into the backside B-gap defender. But if you tell him to slide and glide, he's going to do this. Keep his shoulders square and stay in the cylinder. Slide and glide. He can slide and glide to daylight. This is purely by accident that I found this out. We started running it, but guess what? The tailback would wind up cutting backside of the nose and gash people. Now, when I put that in, I'd never in a million years expected that. I never thought of that. The thought never entered my mind. The tailbacks just started doing it. And we were gashing people. And guess what? Because the play takes a little... Here's the beauty of this. When we were putting it in the first 12 days, all I kept seeing was the problems with the play. It taking too long, the back's taking too long to get there. I was thinking about maybe, taking a step with the quarterback to bring him close. All of a sudden, the tailbacks did this on their own. And I'm saying, this is unbelievable. Guess what? The hardest thing in triple option football is to contain these guys. This guy, and this guy. Those are the 3 hardest guys to contain. This guy's running, and the tailback just doing this. Holy shit, I don't have that problem anymore. We let him run all he wants, and the tailback makes big plays. So then the answer was to bring this guy in there. And that's when Flash started. It was unbelievable the way the dominoes fell in place. It just really was. That cut back by the tailback, that's something that could never, ever happen under center. It can't happen. The under center play happens too fast. This play, he could see this and just make that cut. He could beat the backer where under center he had to run his crease. And that's one of the huge advantages of the play. If it was open this way where this guy cut here and we did this, he would slide and glide that way. But basically if A-gap is open, he hits A-gap 100 miles an hour. And we tell him if he gains 5, he's good. But guess what would happen? He hits that 100 miles an hour. Guess what? He pops through there for 7, 8, 9, maybe even hits his head on the goalpost. So the front side A gap is really important. The other thing is, I've talked with a lot of guys that have put this in, have put it in like a la carte. They love it, but they still aim the tailback at the crack of the ass of the guard. Well, guess what? What does that bring the tailback closer to? The handoff key, the mesh. You don't want that. You want them as far away from the mesh as possible. That's why you're making the big splits. Okay, you don't want that handoff key to be able to blow up the mesh and create a fumble. And then finally, the tailback is a runner or a blocker, never a faker. You're not gonna fake anybody out. They're gonna have option assignments. You can crawl in there like this, or it doesn't matter. He's a runner or a blocker, never a faker. If the handoff key is blocked, if the ball is pulled, he becomes a blocker. And his rule is he blocks linebacker to safety. So anytime the handoff key is blocked, that tailback gets out, wraps, and he becomes a blocker. Let me tell you another thing. I always look for a way to pick up a block or pick up a blocker. And that's one way. Now in the zone read, if you pull the ball from the tailback, he runs out the opposite way, right? He doesn't block for the quarterback, correct? So that's the tailback. Onside slot. Offside slot's obviously the pitch guy. Onside slot versus a 4-shell arc, or stalk if you want to call it that, versus a 3-shell seal. Unless we might call it that we want you to arc against a 3-shell. But otherwise, it's versus a 4-shell arc versus a 3-shell stalk. Now we can call seal against a 4-shell, say it's an 4-3 stack, and we want to block the sandbacker and pitch off the strong side. We can call that. So we'd call the play and just tag it seal, so to tell him that we want him to seal. Quarterback play. This is really the heart of the play. And number one, it's his mechanics. And it's a pivot, not a step. Okay, and what he's going to do, and this is important now, this is like critical here. This is what he's going to do is this is step one. He's just going to pivot on the heel of his play side foot. Now, I've been asked to use the point method or ride and decide. I don't even know what they are, but I'm going to tell you. Here's the method. It's pivot. And I tell him never ride and decide, because what I don't want is the ball in the mesh. What I want is a quick decision. So when he pivots at this point, because he's already done what? Catch the snap here. The blocks have already taken place or started to. So it's different than under center. Under center, he's getting the ball. Under center, I should teach this. That's different in the gun, because by the time he catches it and pivots, things are unfolding already. It's a later play. So the defense is already reacting. So I want him to pivot. If he steps, he'll drive the dive back into the handoff key. And we want him to make his decision, a quick decision on that step. So I tell him better wrong than long. Better wrong than long. Now I already told you that we protect the mesh. So what's the worst that can happen? If he makes a bad read and hands the ball off, we get 3 yards or 4 yards. But I don't want him doing indecision. I don't want this. I don't want him to step and go, and like that. I want him to make a decision and go with it. Better wrong than long. I want him to be efficient, not perfect. I don't want him to get an ulcer trying to decide whether he's right or wrong. I want him to make a decision and let the play unfold. His thought process. I'm going to give the ball every time unless the handoff key comes down flat and hard on the dive. So the risk reward is give unless. You're going to give the ball every time unless that handoff key comes down flat and hard. If the handoff key is blocked, it's a pull. So if it's a 4-eye and we block him outside in, pull, and the quarterback's on the edge. On the option phase, I'm going to attack the inside shoulder and watch the far shoulder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attack this inside shoulder right here, but I'm going to watch this one. As I'm coming at him, go to tackle, bang, ball's pitched. Now if he doesn't turn his shoulder, tackle me. boom, pitch. Okay, if he comes into me, slides into me, then I can pitch. But if he just stands there and I tack his inside shoulder, I'll make yardage. But coming downhill, I'm coming downhill in the gun. That's one of the advantages of the gun, coming downhill. You got to make a decision, and usually it's this: pitch. Pitch heart to heart, not dick to dirt. Whichever way he learned it in high school, I just go with that. But if I taught it, it'd be thumb under. Let me draw it up against entirely versus a couple of defenses. I'll start it against a 4-3. What shell is a 4-3? 4 shell. So what does the play side slot do? Huh? Arc. Okay, so now we have a stack read. We're going to double here, eyeball on the mic. Double here, eyeball on the Will. Cut off B gap. If Will comes up on the line of scrimmage, we make a smoke call. Tailback is going to hit front side A. He's the pitch guy. And the quarterback is going to give every time unless both of them come down. If both come down, it's a pitch. Okay? If he comes down, he comes out, then he just pitcher keeps off Sam. If he comes down and Sam comes in, it's pulling a pitch. Okay, that's a stack read. Anytime the pitch key is inside the handoff key like this, if Sam comes in, it's pulling a pitch. Okay, and we call that a leverage pitch. Why? Because that end will not take pitch. So it's pulling a pitch. If we run it to this side, the veer side, he comes up to Mike, double team here, back door to Sam, these guys come off, and we have the same stack read to that side. So 4-4, okay, if we're running it here, he's running flash to control that guy. If he rolls with motion, we got flash out here, one-on-one with the corner. We always try to make tackle guys cover and cover guys tackle. But this, now you have your best receiver one-on-one with the corner. All right, these two are going to block to him, or B-gap. These two are going to block here. He seals, handoff key, pitch key, stalk. If we run it to the other side, he comes through there. That's where he protects the handoff key this way, right? You know, through the mesh. Double here, and look at the. So you're still getting a double team here. Handoff key, pitch key. Let's do that 3-3 stack. Now look at this. This is kind of interesting. Look at the way this lines up. 4 shell or 3 shell? Who knows? 3 shell. So what does this guy do? Seal. Handoff key, pitch key. He's going to kiss up off the nose here. Kiss here to Will. Cut off. He's going to release vertically to Sam. If Sam runs, he's on Mike. If Sam plugs, he's got Sam. Then he's on Mike. Let's look at an odd, just a regular 50 or 3-4. Yes, sir.
With that head of nose, where's your center's emphasis? Coming to the front side A?
Well, here's what's going to happen. Actually, it's backside A gap, but his step will be front side because what he's always going. We're always going to help the center because he's always long snapping. So it's going to be like this, and then he's here. He's here. If he's off the line of scrimmage, remember that's that smoke call. Now here's the thing about a 50. Look at that. Look at the running room you have against a 50. That's almost unfair. So what is probably going to happen with this 50? Are they going to let you wear them out with the tailback up the middle? I doubt it. So what they're probably going to do is bring him in here, correct? He comes down and blocks him. He blocks the backer, and now it becomes double option on the run. Okay, and that's what I'm talking about, the tailback being a blocker.